section, and I got all my data. Just like your research, I believe. You start from research first, from result first. And you map out what is going to be your statements, what's going to be your major results that you want to show. I don't know about you, and you're going to share with us. For me, I start from, okay, I think I should show this figure 1, the diagram of the way I make this material. Figure 2, the XRD of this material, X-ray diffraction, and then the imaging, and then the property of it, and then the comparison. So I map with the figure as my main content of my paper. And then I start writing the easiest section, which is experimental procedure. Because you did it with your hands, you know what you do, and so on. So that one section, and then come back and look at result and discussion. Many journals want you to do result and discussion together. That's the easiest one. You have to start thinking about how to tell your story. Manuscript is the story. Some manuscript is boring, just like you go watch movie that, what? I have no idea what they're talking about. But some movies are so interesting. So you look at those and say, how do I tell the story? And that is the result. And how do I compare with other people's results? Is that in agreement or in contrast too? So that discussion, what the result means and how to interpret it and compare with others, those are discussion. And then when you're done with this, you start thinking about introduction. Because introduction is everything under the universe, right? But you start from the first sentence that everything under the universe, why do you care? Why anyone have to care what you did? And then the paragraph before experimental procedure is the key. You have to start asking yourself, what is the selling point of my manuscript? Why people get excited about, why should others get excited about my work? Now that, the paragraph before experimental procedure, which tie in and bring everything into why you do and what you're going to report in this manuscript. If you yourself could not find a selling point, you're not going to get published. If you just write it like your lab report, I did this, I varied that, and I received this, and go take a look at it yourself, I think it's add new knowledge. So what? That's not good enough. Interesting is good, but it's not good enough to get published. It has to be exciting. It has to be sexy. Somebody loved this. But I said, I like something sexy sometimes, right? So you have to find what is your selling point. And that is the last paragraph before experimental procedure. And build that. Once you have this intro, experimental procedure, result, then you can start thinking about your conclusion, or you result, discussion, and then conclusion or summary. Then that another section done. Come back to intro. Once you finish your intro, read the whole thing, and you come up with abstract. Right?
Yes, sure.
Yes.
I have a question on the importance of introduction. You think with the same results, I mean with exact same results, but if you have a different abstract, you think that there's a, I mean, if it's a better, no, not abstract, I'm sorry, introduction. If you have a better introduction, you think that would affect the chance of getting published?
Yes. Yes, I got paper rejected because it's not my expertise. It's something about botany, but they're doing the calcium oxalate in basil and so on and so forth. So I tell my colleague, after I read up about 20, 30 papers, then we will do paper together, and I write an intro, so make it exciting. But it was the point where the reviewer asked that, my intro is kind of grandiose, but the result is just imaging of the calcium oxalate and did not address the idea that calcium oxalate create kidney stone. And the reviewer rejected that manuscript, saying that our work have nothing to do with the kidney stone, because the way I wrote the introduction. So this is a good example. Good question. It had to be all together in a good story, right? Intro is the way you introduce actor and actress, and the bad guy and the policeman and the right
Good guy.
and the good guy and save the world, and you know. So it's, but now if you introduce 20 people but only 5 actress, then they said, what is the role of the rest 15? Again, we can talk about it through the night, but it's nothing like you sit down and have to do it yourself.
Yes.
And I know you struggle, which sentence I'm going to put here, which sentence I'm going to put there, and so on and so forth. You're going to have to struggle through that. And that's what your advisor is there for. He or she may not know as much and as deep on the subject as you do, but you have to respect their experience. Okay? They have cried their first rejection of the manuscript, trust me. In fact, I never cried because my manuscript got rejected, but maybe moody, disappointed, frustrated, disappointed. And that comes to another point. You did your best, you submit your manuscript, you should expect to be rejected. Because if it got accepted, then you walk in the cloud and you're happy all day, all week. So you expect to be rejected. Expect that your manuscript will be rejected. And start from there. Okay? Because, hey, they reject paper all the time. But that won't give you graduation. Now, if you're lucky, the reviewer will give you 2 pages, single space review. And you go through point by point by point by point. Revise your whole manuscript and either resubmit it or go to another journal. But your manuscript will be a much better manuscript than your first time.
Big gap, Professor, big difference when you compare to the first version. Professor, may I share one of my experiences? When I talked with my advisor and also with my senior students in the lab, they also told me that, okay, get ready, if it is rejected, don't cry, don't commit a suicide, feel happy, relax your mind, and then, okay, I agree that, yeah, anyway, you're gonna get a bit disappointed, or maybe more, maybe you're gonna cry, but believe me, you know, I believe that editors and reviewers, they are not our enemies. What happened, my third and my fourth research work was one story, but I divided into 2 parts. And then for the third work that I submitted, and then the fourth work also, it was submitted, like the first one submitted maybe around August, and then the second one maybe 2 months after that I submitted. And then because the third work was not accepted yet, so sometimes when you want to write some points in your introduction, you would say that, for example, in our previous work we did this, and then in this work we're gonna investigate the other aspect, or in our previous work this bacteria was identify that you are not going to repeat the results. But I didn't know, because for my fourth manuscript, when I was writing, the third one was not accepted. So I was thinking that I cannot refer to it. I cannot say that in my previous work. So I have to put the data again. So I put some parts of the data again, like a kind of copy, because I was thinking that, okay, this is my own data, and the third one was not accepted yet. So both of them under review. And then the third one was accepted first, right? Because it was submitted earlier. And you remember the fourth one, I had some parts, some results, the same as the third one. And then what happened? Okay, I remember the fourth one first rejected because the topic was not within the aim and the scope of the journal. Then I resubmitted, and then it was rejected because the editor said some results are copied from the third one. So as you see, if the editor, sometimes they can have, because they are human beings, maybe if he or she didn't pay attention and then that work was published. So if you read my work and you will see that what this guy has done, the third work and the fourth work, some parts are the same results, even from the same author. We cannot do that, right? So I want to tell you that that rejection benefited me a lot. So I went back and then I deleted that table, and then I just said that based on my previous work. So I just want to share that, even you are rejected, but you're gonna improve a lot. And if you compare, for example, the accepted version compared to the first version, after many cycles of rejection, you see, wow, it's a big improvement. So really and another point, when you write and read your work, your advisor read, your senior students read, they are in the same lab, they all know about, for example, plant-bacterial interaction, but you need someone to read from outside. When outsiders, they have a look at your manuscript, they are going to find out some points that you didn't see at all. So it's really helpful. Yeah, just
Because, thank you, it's a good experience and good point to share with all of us. So you cannot thinking that you will graduate in 3 years, you have a scholarship for 3 years, and then from my observation from the progress report, everyone say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to write manuscript on semester number 5, and I will graduate semester number 6. You wish. That is so dreamy, right? No, you should write manuscript on semester number 3 or number 2 even. Now this is only his 5th or 6th, 7th semester, right?
This is Professor 7th, yes.
7th. But you already started, right, your first manuscript on your semester number 1, 2 maybe? Your first manuscript.
Number 4, Professor. Semester
That's
number
fast.
4.
That fast. I actually wrote my first manuscript second semester when I joined PhD, because I want to go to a conference. My situation is different. There was a company that did not support the research, but gave a lot of materials for me to do transmission electron microscope analysis, and the company will pay for me to go from Arizona to Boston for Material Research Society conference and things like that. So I need to get resolved in order to write proceedings. And then from many proceedings, I write papers and so on. But okay, the point is, your plan of progress plan is not linear. So jump into anything as fast as you can. Start drafting, writing, and don't wait until you close your lab. Thai expression say, "รอจนปิด lab." You are not going to close your experiment or finish your experiment and close your laboratory, and then I will go hide out and sit down and write it all out. That is a wrong approach. you should start writing and make your writing into every month, every 2 months, besides your lab report. Start thinking about what is the issue here that I can report, that I can write into my manuscripts, and start making progress. And let your advisor read, let someone in your laboratory read, or volunteer to read other people's manuscript, because we all mess up when we change figure, when we change reference. This day and age has a very good reference system. Someone asked